All of you, good morning. Good morning, my dear young minds. Welcome to botany class. How are you all? Are you fine? Hope all of you fine at home. So take safety measures against corona. At the same time, keep your 100% concentration on studies at home. Don't do neglect because it is your life, right? Right. Come back to situation. In previous class we have discussed enzymes, nomenclature of enzymes, classification of enzymes with examples, the number of chemical reactions. That whole topic was completed. And today we'll discuss cofactors. Cofactors. Cofactors are non-proteinaceous part. As I told previously, apoenzyme, coenzyme and holoenzyme. Apoenzyme means proteinaceous part, that means protein portion. Protein portion. It is inactive. Coenzyme means non-protein portion, non-protein part, but it is active. When coenzyme bind with apoenzyme, that is called holoenzyme. Then holoenzyme is active enzyme. Holoenzyme actively catalyze chemical reactions. Therefore, holoenzyme combine with the substrate at active site. This topic already covered in previous classes, right? Here coenzyme is there now. Coenzyme is a part of cofactors. All cofactors are organic compounds and non-proteinaceous constituents, non-protein constituents. They are very active. When cofactors bind with the apoenzyme, then apoenzyme become active. It acts as holoenzyme, actively catalyze chemical reactions. Okay, I will discuss cofactors and types of cofactors, right? There are three kinds of cofactors: prosthetic group, coenzyme, the third one metal ions. So three important kinds of cofactors. The first one is prosthetic group. Prosthetic group is a type of organic compound. It is a type of organic compound. Non-protein part. Prosthetic group is a type of organic compound and a non-protein constituent, non-protein part. It binds with the enzyme at active site. Go through simple diagrammatic representation. Apoenzyme. It is prosthetic group. When prosthetic group bind with apoenzyme at active site, then apoenzyme become holoenzyme. Apoenzyme acts as holoenzyme. Holoenzyme. Then holoenzyme is active enzyme. It actively catalyzes chemical reactions. It binds with the substrate. This is S. S means substrate. Substrate bind with the holoenzyme at a particular site, that is called active site. What do you call? Active site. Once I repeat, cofactors broadly are of three kinds: prosthetic group, coenzymes and metal ions. First one, prosthetic group. It is a type of organic compound which is distinguished from the rest of the cofactors. It is non-proteinaceous constituent, non-protein part, bind with the apoenzyme tightly bound with apoenzyme, at the active site. Therefore, apoenzyme become holoenzyme. Then it catalyzes chemical reactions because substrate bind with the apoenzyme at a particular site called active site. That is briefly about the prosthetic group. So prosthetic group also very essential for the catalytic activity of enzymes. Hope you understood, right? Okay. Example, simple example. Peroxidase and catalase. There are two enzymes, peroxidase and catalase. Peroxidase enzyme catalyze chemical reactions. An example, H2O2 hydrogen peroxide convert into water plus oxygen in presence of peroxidase enzyme. H2O2 hydrogen peroxide, in presence of peroxidase enzyme, hydrogen peroxide converts into water molecule and oxygen molecule. In such a way, prosthetic groups means peroxidase enzyme and catalase enzyme catalyze chemical reactions. Another example, heme. Heme, it is also a type of ion. Heme means what? Iron. Heme means iron, right? A metal ion. This heme present in peroxidase enzyme and catalase enzyme. Heme also helps in activation of enzymes, catalytic properties of enzymes. It accelerates catalytic property of enzymes. That is the importance of heme. You may heard the word hemoglobin. Heme means iron. Globin means protein. Hemoglobin means iron protein. A type of red color pigment which helps in exchange of gases between tissues and lungs. That you might have studied in zoology. Circulatory system, blood circulatory system. The same concept. Here heme means iron, a type of metal ion, which is present in peroxidase enzyme and catalase enzymes. It enhances the activity of peroxidase enzyme and catalase enzyme. Simply, that is about the prosthetic group. Then second one, coenzymes, right? Coenzymes also a part of cofactors. Like prosthetic group, coenzymes also organic compounds. But the main difference is coenzymes loosely bound with the apoenzyme. Here coenzymes are loosely bound with apoenzyme. Coenzyme, apoenzyme. See, coenzymes loosely bound with apoenzyme, that is called transient. Transient means loosely bound with apoenzyme. Like prosthetic group, coenzymes also catalyze chemical reactions. They also play a crucial role in metabolic activities. Right? Now we'll discuss some examples of coenzymes. Right? See, main difference, prosthetic group is tightly bound with apoenzyme, whereas coenzymes are loosely bound with apoenzyme. Loosely means transient, right? Fundamentally, all coenzymes are made up of vitamins, right? Vitamins. You may have heard the word vitamins in previous class. What is vitamin? Vitamins are micronutrients. Vitamins also essential for normal body growth and development. But some vitamins are essential vitamins and some are non-essential vitamins, because our body naturally synthesizes some vitamins in our digestive system that are called non-essential vitamins. But some vitamins we must take into the body through regular diet, that means food. Such vitamins are called essential vitamins. Previously we have discussed amino acids are of two kinds: essential amino acids, non-essential amino acids. Like amino acids, vitamins also are of two kinds: essential vitamins, non-essential vitamins. Hope you understood, right? Essential vitamins usually we take into the body through regular diet, food, whereas non-essential elements already naturally synthesized in our digestive system. A famous scientist, Funk, first coined the term vitamins. Funk. Scientist name. Funk first coined the term vitamins. Vitamins broadly are of various kinds: A vitamin, B vitamin, C, D, E and K. In B vitamin again many varieties are there: B1, B2, B3, B6, B7, B8 and B12. B6, B7, B8 and B12. Vitamin E chemical name retinol or carotene, because in zoology subject already you might have studied various types of vitamins. Broadly, vitamins are of two kinds: water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. Water soluble and fat soluble. Okay, come to the point. Water soluble vitamins are B and C. Vitamin B and vitamin C are called water soluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins. Rest of the all vitamins A, D, E and K are called fat soluble. Include A. A, D, E and K are called fat soluble vitamins, whereas B and C are called water soluble vitamins. In B again many varieties are there: B1, B2, B3, B6, B7, B8 and B12. Vitamin E chemical name retinol or carotene. B1 chemical name thiamine. Actually chemical names no need, it is just extra information. but you can learn all these topics in zoology, not in botany, in zoology lessons, right? The chapter name nutrition. B1 chemical name thiamine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin or nicotinic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin, B8 pantothenic acid, and B12 cyanocobalamin. These are the various types of B complex vitamins. B complex means group, a group of B complex vitamins. Next, vitamin C chemical name ascorbic acid, vitamin D calciferol, vitamin E tocopherol, vitamin K phylloquinone. These are the various types of vitamins and their chemical names, out of which now our heart concept is on vitamins, particularly B complex vitamins only. B complex vitamins, right? The brief introduction: what is vitamin, what are the types of vitamins and all. Scientist Funk, F-U-N-K, Funk, scientist name, he was first found vitamins and he only coined the term vitamins, right? Biocytin, coenzyme A. Biocytin, precursor. What is precursor? Precursor means source. The area where vitamins are available, that particular area is called source. Source also more technically called precursor, right? Biocytin, a vitamin. Biocytin source, biotin, B7 vitamin. Coenzyme A, pantothenic acid, B8 vitamin, B8, right? Next to some other examples: FAD stands for flavin adenine dinucleotide. Shorticle FAD. Precursor riboflavin, means B2 vitamin. Understood now? Next to NAD stands for nicotinamide, adenine dinucleotide, shortly called NAD. Its precursor nicotinic acid, it is otherwise called niacin, vitamin B3. FAD important, NAD also important. Remember, don't forget, right? These are some examples of vitamins and their precursors. Coenzymes, because basically all coenzymes are made up of vitamins. Okay, all coenzymes are basically made up of vitamins. name of the coenzyme and their source. Box point very important. All of you practice this box once or twice. Important for NEET objective exam. Once I repeat, biocytin, biotin. Link is there now. Just now I told some B complex vitamins and their chemical names. Okay. B7 biotin. B8 pantothenic acid. B8 it is 8. B8 pantothenic acid. B2 riboflavin. And niacin or nicotinic acid. B3. So here our main focus on B complex vitamins only. We obtain large number of coenzymes from B complex vitamins only. That is why I wrote here B complex vitamins. Hope you understood, right? Biocytin obtained from biotin vitamin, coenzyme A. Coenzyme A. CoA means coenzyme A. Source pantothenic acid B8 and FAD NAD. Very important. FAD stands for flavin adenine dinucleotide. Practice spellings important. Flavin adenine dinucleotide. Source riboflavin. Flavin link is there. Riboflavin means B2 vitamin, right? NAD stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Pronunciation also important, spelling also important while writing exams, particular board type exams, right? NAD obtained from nicotinic acid. See, nicotinamide, nicotinic link is there, na? So based on this connection, we can easily understand and memorize name of the precursor and the name of the coenzyme, right? Nicotinic acid also called niacin, B3. These are some examples of coenzymes. And the last one, metal ions. Metal ions. These coenzymes binds with apoenzyme at active site and play a crucial role in catalytic activity of the enzyme. That is final conclusion, right? Next, metal ion. Metal ions. Name of the metal ions and enzyme. Because like prosthetic group and coenzymes, metal ions also bind with enzymes at active site, and metal ions make coordination bonds with the side chains of the active site. With the side chains of the active site, they also make one or more coordination bonds with substrate. That is the importance of metal ions. Go through box point, name of the metal ion and their enzyme. Okay, some examples. Cu2 plus, Fe2 plus or Fe3 plus, Fe2 plus means ferric. Fe3 plus means ferrous. Some examples. Okay. Next to potassium K plus, Mg plus, magnesium ions. Next, manganese ions, molybdenum ions, followed by zinc ions, etc. The first one, copper ions. Cytochrome oxidase. Cytochrome oxidase. Copper ions combines with the cytochrome oxidase enzyme. Next, ferric ions or ferrous ions combine with catalase and peroxidase. Catalase and peroxidase. Potassium ions combines with pyruvate kinase. Then magnesium ions combines with IAA oxidase. Manganese ions combines with some enzymes. Simple example, manganese ions join with the IAA oxidase, and magnesium ions combines with the hexokinase. Enzyme. And molybdenum ions, MO means molybdenum ions, combines with some enzymes. An example, nitrate reductase enzyme, and zinc ions combines with the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Another example, carboxypeptidase enzyme. Carboxypeptidase enzyme. Right. Look here. Go through box point. First, name of the metal ion and their enzymes. Copper ions present in cytochrome oxidase enzyme. Copper ions enhance the catalytic activity of the cytochrome oxidase enzyme. Suppose if you remove copper ions from enzyme, this enzyme become inactive. It never catalyzes chemical reactions. That is the importance of metal ion. In such a way, metal ions accelerate the rate of enzyme activity. Second example, Fe2 plus ferric ions, Fe3 plus ferrous ions. These two types of metal ions present in some enzymes such as catalase and peroxidase, both catalase and peroxidase. If you remove ferric or ferrous ions from these enzymes, these two enzymes inactive. They never catalyze chemical reactions. Clear na? Right. Next, K plus potassium ions. Potassium ions combine with the pyruvate kinase enzyme. Potassium ions join with the enzyme at active site. You know well what is active site. Okay. That what you call that cleft or pockets are there na? That pockets also called active site that are present in enzymes. Hence, all metal ions join with enzyme at the active site or cleft, pockets, etc. Potassium ions activate pyruvate kinase enzyme. Magnesium ions activates hexokinase enzyme. Manganese ions activates IAA oxidase enzyme. IAA stands for indole 3 acetic acid. Indole 3 acetic acid. Indole 3 acetic acid. IA stands for indole 3 acetic acid, oxidase enzyme. Next, molybdenum ions bind with the nitrate reductase enzyme. Zinc ion very important. NCERT example, zinc ion very important. That's why I put here tick mark. Zinc ions combines with the carbonic anhydrase and the carboxy peptidase enzyme. NCERT example. NCERT example, very important. Of course, rest of the metal ions also important. Don't do neglect. My suggestion, all of you practice this box point. Practice once or twice, or on paper or on slate. Without practice, we may not remember these many types of metal ions and their enzyme names. Respect to enzyme names, right? It is about prosthetic group, coenzymes and metal ions. The final conclusion is, when you remove metal ions from enzymes, all enzymes inactive. These enzymes unable to catalyze chemical reactions. That is the importance of metal ions. Okay, now the whole biomolecule chapter is completed. All topics successfully completed. It is a very lengthy chapter, important chapter, somewhat hard chapter, but very interesting chapter, right? In this chapter we have discussed several subtopics, various types of subtopics, right? Like first amino acids, after amino acids, lipids and fats, followed by proteins, different types of proteins, different types of amino acids. Next, carbohydrates. Carbohydrate example, polysaccharides, various types of polysaccharides. Next, nucleic acids, DNA, RNA. That whole topic was completed. Next, after completion of that enzymes, before that metabolic activity, dynamic state of metabolism, dynamic state of body constituents, concept of metabolism, metabolism of living, the living state. This whole dry topics are also completed. After that, enzymes, enzyme whole concept completed. So, this is the last topic of the biomolecules. The whole biomolecule chapter is completed successfully. Today, now itself, I start new chapter, photosynthesis in higher plants. Photosynthesis in higher plants. It is very important chapter, interesting chapter. It has more weightage in NEET object exam, set exams as well as board exams. If you understand this chapter, very easy. Otherwise, very difficult than that of biomolecules. You don't worry about it. I make it easy. Right? Come to the point. This is chapter number 13, photosynthesis. In higher plants. In plant physiology, there are 5 chapters. First chapter, transport in plants. In the second chapter, mineral nutrition. Third chapter, photosynthesis in higher plants. This chapter. And the fourth chapter, respiration in plants. And the last one, plant growth and development. These are the 5 important chapters in plant physiology. That is the last unit of the botany part, right? Out of which I selected one major chapter, toughest chapter, but a very interesting chapter, that is photosynthesis in higher plants. As all of you know, you may heard the word photosynthesis in previous classes like class 8th, 9th and 10th. Yes or no? Did you heard the word photosynthesis? Say any of you, what is photosynthesis? Let me say, see, it is a physico-chemical process. It is a type of physico-chemical process. Plants prepare their own food by themselves by taking external factors and internal factors. What are external factors? Means carbon dioxide, water and sunlight. Plant pick up carbon dioxide from atmosphere, air. Plant pick up energy from sunlight in the form of photons, because sun is the major source of energy, ultimate source of energy for all organisms. So plants pick up energy from sunlight in the form of photons, and a plant pick up water from soil through root system. Sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, these three are external factors, because plant pick up all these things from outer side of the body, hence they were known as external factors. And what are internal factors? Means chlorophyll pigment and chloroplast cell organelle. Chlorophyll pigment and chloroplast cell organelle. Now hope you understood. So by utilizing internal factors and external factors, plant prepare food in the form of glucose. That is known as photosynthesis. A simple definition: plants prepare their own food by themselves by taking external factors and internal factors. Plant prepare food in the form of glucose. It is a physico-chemical process. Such chemical reaction is known as photosynthesis. Once go through simple equation. 6CO2, 12H2O gives rise to sunlight, chlorophyll pigment, glucose, C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2O. Carbon dioxide, water and sunlight are called external factors. External factors, right? Whereas chlorophyll is an internal factor. Internal factor. End product, glucose. In addition to glucose, oxygen liberates its surroundings, even water also. So look here, 6CO2 plus 12H2O gives rise to glucose, oxygen and water. Plant pick up energy from sunlight. Plant pick up carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Plant pick up water from deeper layers of soil. And already chlorophyll pigments present in chloroplast. Chloroplast present in mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells present in green color parts of the plants. Green color part of the plant, right? Like young stems, leaves, buds, unripened fruits. In some plants, the color of the root also light green. Example, an epiphyte. Epiphyte example, Taeniophyllum. Teniophyllum trapa. In such plants, the color of the root is green color. That you might have studied in previous chapter, morphology of flowering plants, right? Okay, come to the point. It is a meaningful chemical reaction regarding photosynthesis. Hence, plants pick up carbon dioxide, water and energy from sunlight. By using chlorophyll pigment, plant prepare food in the form of glucose and oxygen liberate into surroundings. In such a way, plant restore oxygen in atmosphere. Foul air means impurified air become purified due to photosynthesis. That is importance of photosynthesis. And who perform photosynthesis means plants, not only plants. In addition to plants, some microbes, some microscopic organisms also performs photosynthesis. Example, blue-green algae like cyanobacteria, nostoc, anabaena, oscillatoria, right? These types of microscopic organisms also performs photosynthesis. That means what? Not only plants, even some microbes also autotrophs. Autotrophs. You may heard the word autotroph and heterotroph, right? Autotrophs, heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. Autotrophs means plants. Auto means by self. Trophs means plants. Auto means by self. Trophs means plants. Plants which prepare their own food by themselves are called autotrophs. Of course, some microbes also autotrophs. Example, blue-green algae members. Heterotrophs. Organisms which depend on plants for food are called heterotrophs. In entire nature, all animals directly or indirectly depend on plants for feeding, for food. So, photosynthesis is essential for two purposes. What are two purposes? The first one is food, and the second one oxygen, O2. So all animals, from unicellular animals to higher living animals, that means from protozoans to chordates, higher chordates, all lower living animals and all higher living animals directly or indirectly depend on plants for food. So without plants, no other animal exists their life on the earth without trouble, without hindrance, right? This oxygen is very essential. Nowadays, several lakhs of people died due to COVID-19, coronavirus. What is the main reason? Oxygen deficiency, lack of oxygen. So plants liberates oxygen. Plant release oxygen into surroundings. In such a way, plants purify the nature. Foul air, bad air become purified. That is the importance of plants. You know very well, without oxygen we cannot exist our life even 1 or 2 minutes on the earth. Even 1 or 2 minutes also we cannot survive without taking oxygen. Yes or no? Hence, photosynthesis is very essential for production of food, glucose and for oxygen. So autotrophs, heterotrophs, these two terms already you might have studied at earlier classes, class 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. Okay. Autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition means self preparation of the food by self. Heterotrophic nutrition means collection of the food from other sources. from other plants or other animals. That is known as heterotrophic nutrition. Hence, photosynthesis is a type of physico-chemical process. Physico, and underline important terms. Physico-chemical process. Physico means physical process. Chemico means chemical process. Why it is called physical process means during daytime in presence of sunlight, plant pick up energy from light, from sunlight. Hence it is called physical process. Chemico means chemical process. Here what happened in photosynthesis, solar energy, that means light energy, converts into chemical energy. That chemical name is glucose. Hence, during photosynthesis, solar energy converts into chemical energy. That is called glucose. Due to continuous accumulation of glucose, glucose convert into starch. Right? Then starch store in various parts of the plant. Some plants store starch in roots, some plants stems, some plants fruits, flowers, etc. Right? That is brief introduction about photosynthesis. Next, early experiments. Because at school level, class 8th, 9th and 10th, you might have studied some experiments regarding photosynthesis. An example, variegated leaf experiment. Variegated leaf experiment. What is the meaning of variegated? Means leaf with different coloration. Leaf with different coloration is called variegated leaf. It is called variegated leaf. Leaf with different coloration. Suppose blue color, not blue color, yellow color, green, orange, etc. A leaf with more than one color is known as variegated leaf. Simple definition. Example, croton. It is one of the ornamental plants. Ornamental means show plant. Okay. In croton leaf, the color of the leaf is more than one color. Some patches yellow in color, some patches green in color, some patches orange in color, and the rest of the patches light red color or pale green color, etc. So a single leaf with more than one color is more technically known as variegated leaf. Right? Because leaf contain various types of pigments. Pigments means colors. So pigments are of various kinds. Chlorophyll pigments, carotenoid pigments, xanthophyll pigments, etc. Which is the chief pigment means chlorophyll A. chlorophyll A is the chief pigment. Chief means an important pigment, major pigment. The rate of photosynthesis is also very high in chlorophyll A than to that of rest of the all other pigments. Hence it is called chief pigment. In coming class we discuss various types of pigments: chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, chlorophyll D, their colors, carotenoids, xanthophylls, fucoxanthin. These are various types of pigments. Their coloration we will discuss in coming classes. Hope you might have studied these types of pigments and their coloration and previous chapter, biological classification. Second chapter, biological classification. Are you read? Okay, right. Come to the point. So, green color, dark green color patch of the leaf perform higher rate of photosynthesis than to that of rest of the colors. So based on this concept, we identify easily presence or absence of starch. Presence or absence of starch by adding iodine solution. By adding iodine solution, we can easily identify whether starch is present or absent in leaf. That is called iodine test. Right? That is about a variegated leaf experiment. Next one, Moll's half-leaf experiment. See, variegated leaf experiment explains the importance of chlorophyll pigments. It explained the importance of chlorophyll pigments, various types of chlorophyll pigments, right? And the second one, Moll's half-leaf experiment. Moll's scientist name. He was first found the importance of carbon dioxide, and he was practically proved carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Without carbon dioxide, no plants performs photosynthesis. Very simple concept. First, select one healthy potted plant. Take one healthy potted plant. Soil. And draw long and narrow leaves. Select one bottle. Stand bottle. Insert half of the leaf into the bottle, inside the bottle. The solution, potassium hydroxide solution. KOH, potassium hydroxide solution. Rubber strapper. Rubber strapper. Okay, come to the point. Moles, a scientist, performed experiments on various healthy potted plants. He took one healthy potted plant, select any plant that is your wish. Plant with narrow leaves. Select better plant with narrow leaves, not wider, narrow leaves. Then only we can easily insert leaf into the bottle. That's why select plant with long and narrow leaves. Take one clean and empty bottle, glass bottle, and add 10 ml of potassium hydroxide solution. Just pour 10 ml enough. Then close the mouth of the bottle with the rubber strapper. Close the mouth of the bottle with rubber strapper. Then take one blade, sharp blade. Make one small trench. Make one slant cut. Then through cut, insert half of the leaf into the bottle as shown in the figure. But you must take here one precautions. Should not touch leaf with the potassium hydroxide solution. If it touch means it will burn. Therefore, maintain gap between leaf and potassium hydroxide solution. Here, why should we take KOH solution means potassium hydroxide solution, it pick up carbon dioxide from inner side of this bottle. If is there any CO2, carbon dioxide in the bottle means immediately KOH solution pick up the total carbon dioxide. Then no CO2 inside the bottle. It is stand, support is stand for bottle. Then pour water to the plant with regular intervals. Later, keep this entire setup under sunlight for 3 to 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours. After that, collect entire setup, detach leaf, take out leaf from bottle and place in one beaker or watch glass. Beaker or watch glass, right? Then pour iodine solution on leaf. Then you can notice some portion of the leaf turn into bluish black. This portion of the leaf turn into bluish black. Rest of the leaf pale green in color. The portion of the leaf which is present outer side of the bottle and which is exposed towards sunlight, that is prepared food in the form of glucose. Next, the part of the leaf which kept inside the bottle, that portion of the leaf unable to prepare food. Of course, this portion of the leaf got water, sunlight, everything except carbon dioxide, except CO2, carbon dioxide. Here where is CO2? No CO2, because potassium KOH solution already trapped carbon dioxide. Due to lack of carbon dioxide, inner side of the leaf unable to prepare food, hence it is remain pale green in color. It is unable to prepare glucose. That is the difference between exposed leaf and a non-exposed leaf. When we add few drops of iodine solution, it is iodine. Iodine solution, the portion of the leaf which is exposed towards sunlight, that was prepared glucose, and the part of the leaf which kept inside the bottle, that is unable to prepare food due to lack of carbon dioxide. Hence, it is remain pale green. Understood now? So, finally, moles confirmed. CO2, carbon dioxide, is essential for photosynthesis. Without carbon dioxide, no plant prepare food, because carbon dioxide, carbon converts into glucose carbon, C6H12O6. Look here, carbon dioxide, carbon converts into glucose carbon. Due to this reason, CO2 is essential. Understood now? That's all. The same experiment already you might have studied at school level, class 9th and 10th. Right? One more experiment. Light screen experiment. Light screen is also called black paper experiment. Black paper experiment. This experiment practically proved sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Very simple concept. Go through rough diagram, but these many diagrams are not there in NCERT. For your understanding, I am drawing simple diagrams, right? Okay. Now take one X-ray cover, X-ray sheet, black color is there, na? Take one X-ray cover or a cardboard. Suppose it is X-ray cover. Cut it into any shape, like S shape, any shape, your wish. Take one cardboard or X-ray cover which is very thick in size and black in color. Cut cover into S shape or any other shape, triangle shape, hexagonal shape, your wish. Suppose here I cut S shape. Take these types of sheets, two sheets. One place on top side of the leaf, another sheet put on down side of the leaf, lower surface of the leaf. See, look here. With the help of clips, fix two sheets on either sides of the leaf. On either sides of the leaf. With the help of clips. Right? Then pour water to the plant with regular intervals. Then keep this entire setup under light for 3 to 4 hours approximately. In presence of light, plant performs photosynthesis, and the leaf prepare food in the form of glucose or starch. After some time period, the selected leaf detach, take out, remove clips, remove sheet, and leaf used for iodine test. Leaf used for iodine test. Take one tray, wider tray. Wider tray, right? Then it indicates starch or glucose. Right. Add few drops of iodine solution. Iodine solution. So look here, very simple concept. First select one healthy potted plant with large number of wider leaves. Select one of the wider leaf, then collect one cardboard or X-ray cover, cut it into any shape, take 2 sheets and place on either sides of the leaf with the help of clips. Then pour water to the plant with regular intervals. Finally, keep this entire setup under sunlight for 3 to 4 hours. In presence of light, plant performs photosynthesis. Obviously, leaf prepare food. After some time period, that selected leaf is there, no, detach from plant, remove clips, board and all. Leaf placed in petri dish or tray. Then add few drops of iodine solution. Actually, iodine solution is light black in color. It is light black in color, right? Okay, when we add iodine solution on leaf, the portion of the leaf which prepared food that turn into bluish black. That turn into bluish black. Rest of the color, rest of the part of the leaf which is covered with cardboard, that will remain pale green. Pale green. Because this portion of the leaf covered with sheet, X-ray cover or cardboard. So, how this portion of the leaf get sunlight? No chance. Due to lack of sunlight, this portion of the leaf unable to prepare food. But when you observe clearly, there is a slant cut, S-shaped slant cut is there, na? That the portion of the leaf was exposed towards sunlight and this portion of the leaf was prepared food. Hence, this portion of the leaf also turned into bluish black when we tested with iodine solution. Iodine solution. You got my point? Okay. These experiments, notice light is essential for photosynthesis. Without light, no plants prepare their own food by photosynthesis. Understood now? Are you getting my point? Right? Next. One more experiment. Joseph Priestley experiments. Joseph Priestley. You might have studied Joseph Priestley experiments at class 10th, right? Joseph Priestley, a biologist, botanist, he performed experiments on plants. He was practically proved importance of air in growth of the green plants. What is the role of the air in growth of the green plants? Because without air, no plant prepare food. Yes or no? Because example, carbon CO2, carbon dioxide, gas, air. By taking carbon dioxide, plant prepare food? Because carbon dioxide carbon convert into glucose carbon. Hence, without air, how plant prepare food? No chance. No chance. Therefore, a famous scientist, Joseph Priestley, was practically proved importance of air in growth of the green plants. He used a simple setup that is called bell jar experiment. Simple bell jar experiment. First, he took one mouse. Imagine it is mouse, right? Burning candle. Burning candle. Both mouse and burning candle closed with bell jar. Bell jar. It is glass bell jar. And he was observed this setup up to some time period. Very simple concept. He selected one mouse and one burning candle. These two was closed with a glass jar, bell jar, and he was observed up to some time extent. In the beginning it was okay, but after some time extent, mouse became suffocated due to lack of oxygen. Even burning candle became burnt off due to lack of oxygen. Because any burning material require oxygen. Without oxygen, no burning material burnt. Even any animal require oxygen for respiration, for breathing. Without breathing, no living organism exists. Particularly animals. No animal exists their life without breathing. That is why after some time period, mouse became suffocated and burning candle was burnt off. Right? In next experiment, he kept in second condition he kept mint plant, one small mint plant. Mint plant. If you want, select any plant. Not only mint plant, select any plant. Because mint plant is small in size. It is easily adjust inside the closed bell jar. It occupies less space. That's why selected mint plant. Right? This is second condition. First condition was over. During the second condition, he kept one living mouse, burning candle, and a small size mint plant under a glass bell jar. And he observed up to some time period. Burning candle release carbon dioxide. Mouse also release carbon dioxide by breathing. Then plant pick up carbon dioxide from burning candle and mouse. By taking carbon dioxide, plant perform photosynthesis. Then plant release oxygen into surroundings. Because usually during photosynthesis, plant liberates oxygen. Therefore, both mouse and burning candle received oxygen. Due to presence of oxygen, mouse stayed alive and burning candle continued to burn. That means what? Due to presence of mint plant, burning candle continued to burn and mouse stayed alive. If you remove plant, then what happened? Burning candle burnt off and mouse became suffocated, breathing problems, respiratory problems. Based on this experiment, Joseph Priestley practically proved air also play a crucial role in growth of the green plants. Without air, no living organism, that means particularly no plants prepare food in the form of glucose. Right? After these experiments, Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen. In the year 1774, Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen. In the year 1775, Lavoisier, another scientist, Lavoisier, coined the term oxygen. Another scientist, Lavoisier. Lavoisier, also called father of modern chemistry. He was known as father of modern chemistry. In the year 1775, Lavoisier coined the term oxygen. Observe 2 years or 2 scientist names. Don't confuse. In 1774, Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen. While in 1775, Lavoisier coined the term oxygen. That is the importance of Joseph Priestley experiments. In NCERT book also clearly mentioned 2 steps, 2 conditions. Right? Okay. Next to name of the scientist, their experiments, results, even years also important for NEET objective exam. Remember, don't forget. You must focus on this area. Right? Next to another scientist, John Ingenhouse. Another famous scientist, biologist, performed experiments on the same setup. The one was used by Joseph Priestley. That means he also performed experiments on burning candle, mouse, and glass bell jar experiments. He selected the same setup and he kept the same setup once in dark and once in sunlight. Once in the dark area and once in the sunlight area. When he kept the same setup, glass bell jar setup, under dark, plant unable to perform photosynthesis, because in dark very sunlight, no light. Due to lack of light, that experiment was collapsed, damaged. When he kept the same setup under light, it was success. Plant pick up carbon dioxide from burning candle and mouse, because mouse also release CO2 by breathing, exhalation, breathing. At the same time, plant perform photosynthesis and prepare food in the form of glucose. Apart from glucose, plant release oxygen. Plant liberates oxygen. By taking oxygen, mouse became alive. Mouse stayed alive, and burning candle continued to burn. So this experiment also clearly studied by John Ingenhouse. Apart from that, Ingenhouse performed experiments on aquatic plants. Example, hydrilla plant, vallisneria plant, water lily plant. There are many plants, aquatic plants, water plants, chlorophyll members, phaeophyll members, rhodophyll members. All aquatic plants also prepare food by photosynthesis, chemical equation. If you observe keenly, uh, in aquatic plants, during photosynthesis, plant release bubbles, air bubbles. Yes or no? Suppose is there any aquatic plants in our surroundings, like wells, canals, reservoirs? Means you just carefully observe any aquatic plant. Around aquatic plant there is a large number of air bubbles. That is called oxygen. Because aquatic plant also performs photosynthesis and liberates oxygen in the form of bubbles, air bubbles. Therefore, large number of air bubbles present around plant. The same experiment was done by John Ingenhousz. Finally, he was confirmed sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Without sunlight, no plant prepare food, no plant release oxygen into surroundings, right? Importance of sunlight. Importance of sunlight. Okay. Next, another scientist, Engelmann, T.W. Engelmann. T.W. Engelmann, another famous scientist, biologist. He performed experiments on green alga, namely Cladophora. Cladophora. It is a green alga. Observe difference between alga and algae. Alga singular form, algae plural form. Hope you understood. Cladophora, a green alga. First he took one prism. He took one prism, means spectrum. And it is tray. Cladophora filament. Cladophora alga. Cladophora alga filament. Nucleus. Cladophora alga. I done here just one filament, cells, nucleus, chloroplast, right? And the tray was filled with suspension of aerobic bacteria. This is suspension of aerobic bacteria. Suspension of aerobic bacteria. What is suspension? Suspension means medium, nutrient medium, culture medium. Okay, nutrient medium is made up of proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, micro and macro nutrients and all. And even aerobic bacteria also added. Hence, it is known as suspension of aerobic bacteria. Okay, this Cladophora. Then he passed a beam of light through spectrum. A beam of light. Then it was break into its spectral components. It will break into its spectral components like VIBGYOR, VIBGYOR, VI, like that. You know well, different colors. VIBGYOR. VIBGYOR or VIBGYOR. Once I repeat, when he passed a beam of light through spectrum prism, light scattered into its spectral components: violet color, indigo color, blue color, green color, yellow, orange and red. Right? Next, 400, 500, 600 and 700. 400 blue color. 400 is a nanometer. Nanometer wavelength of light. Nanometer wavelength of light. 400 nanometer wavelength of light. 500 nanometer, 600 and 700 nanometer wavelength of light. In presence of light, Cloudophora filament perform photosynthesis and prepare food in the form of glucose. Apart from that, filament release oxygen into surroundings. Filament release oxygen into surroundings, right? Suppose blue color area and red color area. 700 nanometer. It is red color zone. Red color. For red. 400 nanometer is blue color. There are two regions. After photosynthesis, Engelmann found a large number of aerobic bacteria under blue light and red light, because it is suspension of aerobic bacteria. This medium was filled with aerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria respire with oxygen, because bacteria are of two kinds: aerobic bacteria, anaerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria respire with oxygen, whereas anaerobic bacteria respire without oxygen, right? During photosynthesis, Cloudophora filament liberate oxygen, release oxygen. Therefore, the rate of photosynthesis is high under blue light and red light. Both blue and red light. Blue and red light. Suppose 400 means blue light, 500 yellow color light, 600 nanometer orange color light, 700 for red color light. The rate of photosynthesis is always high under red and blue color light when compared with the rest of the colors. Obviously, the portion which is present under blue light and red light, these two portions release more oxygen, because plants liberates oxygen during photosynthesis along with food. So now the availability of oxygen is more in blue light and red light. Hence all aerobic bacteria move towards blue light and red light. Hence bacteria accumulated under blue and red light. Based on this concept, T.W. Engelmann confirmed plant perform photosynthesis during daytime in presence of light, but the rate of photosynthesis is high under red and blue light than to that of rest of the colors. Hence, aerobic bacteria was found under red and blue light? Because there is oxygen, sufficient oxygen is there. Obviously, aerobic bacteria moves towards the area where oxygen is available. Hence, after some time period, Engelmann found large number of bacteria accumulated under red light and blue light. Finally, he was confirmed. Sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Without sunlight, no plants prepare food. Even no microorganisms prepare their own food by themselves. Right? And who was first proposed the first action spectrum? Means T.W. Engelmann. The first action spectrum. The first action spectrum. Important. The first action spectrum was first proposed by Engelmann. Hope you understood. So, it is a milestone experiment to study and understand the knowledge of photosynthesis. Being a human being, when we study, when we observe all experiments, like what is first experiment? Leaf experiment, variegated leaf experiment. Second experiment, Mohs half leaf experiment. Third one, light screen experiment or black paper experiment. The fourth one, Joseph Priestley experiments. Next, after that, John Ingenhousz experiments. Later, T.W. Engelmann experiments. So now we discuss various experiments. By studying these experiments, we ourselves easily understand the knowledge of photosynthesis. We can understand successfully what is the growth of the understanding levels of the photosynthesis. Right? Hence, these all experiments are called early experiments. By studying early experiments, we ourselves easily understand the importance of photosynthesis, the process of photosynthesis, and what are the factors essential for photosynthesis. Got my point? Right. This is just a brief introduction about photosynthesis in higher plants. In next video, we'll discuss rest of the topic. Right? So biomolecule chapter was fully completed, and I started third chapter. In NCERT, that is 13th chapter, 13th chapter. It is very important topic, important chapter. It has more weightage for NEET object exam, similarly board exam and set exams. You don't do neglect, you don't feel bored, because see, physics, chemistry and zoology, they have less portion, just 2 to 3 chapters. Rest of the chapters all are completed. But in botany there are 7 chapters. 7 chapters were incomplete. Out of 7 chapters, 2 chapters completed. This is the third chapter. Still I need to complete 4 chapters. Okay, that's why I maintain speed. I am taking lengthy time for videos. So my dear students, don't feel bored, don't do neglect. It's your life, because parents paying lakhs of money. The same time you yourself realize all these things. Do hard work in smart way. Watch every day, every video properly. Try to understand the concept. Wherever you have doubts, immediately or after completion of watching video, once make a phone call or send your questions, doubts through WhatsApp. Immediately we respond. We are always ready to clarify your doubts. Right? Hope you understood. Today I stop here. Rest of the part, let me connect tomorrow class. That means tomorrow video. Thank you very much. Bye. See you and prepare well.